Hello, everybody, and welcome to Movie Couple Live.
It's been one of those days.
The show where we talk about the latest in movie news and pop culture. I'm Wendy.
I'm Dustin.
And on today's live stream, we're talking, of course, the DC slate that was just recently announced and spoiler discussion for the latest episodes of The Last of Us and The Legend of Vox Machina. Welcome, guys. Happy Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, hump day. Yay. It all mixes in together after a while, right? I know. Yeah. So I hope you guys are having an incredible day. It's been crazy here over at the Zany house, and it's been, we're trying to get caught up. We're trying to edit.
It's impossible, y'all.
We're getting Vox Machina stuff up. We're getting The Last of Us stuff edited.
Whoops.
So
Sorry.
Super crazy stuff going on. But I'm glad you guys are here to join us because I've been wanting to talk about all of the awesome stuff that's coming out with DC and all of the things that Mr. James Gunn talked about. And I am excited to jump into this.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get into it. And before we do, if there's about 35 of you guys watching, kindly give us a thumbs up to really help us gain more visibility on YouTube this year. And this is like such a far stretch because you're looking at like 11, like another 10,000. No, wait.
We're at 64.
I would like to get to 75K by the end of this year, if possible.
That would be pretty groovy.
I feel like that's a bit of a stretch, but you never know. So, before we get into everything, a couple of the latest videos on the channel, which I'm just like this is probably the biggest editing hole I have ever gotten myself in. And I think a lot of you guys already know this because you guys keep up on the Discord and on the community posts. But Dustin got not one, but 2 notices from both of his jobs that were like, hey, and on the same day within like an hour of each other, like, hey, you know that person you were working super close to?
All day long
in tight spaces? Yeah, so they just tested positive for COVID. And I said, honey, I love you. You're
Get into your cage.
I need you to be 6 feet away from me and with the mask on immediately because we both had COVID. It was not a fun time. No, we didn't have to go to the hospital. I don't care. It still felt terrible. And I would like to never have it again.
And the thing is, I was just getting over being sick too. Yeah. I mean, I was excited. I was like, yes, finally, I'm functional again. It was nothing serious. I had 101.3 degree temperature,
but it wasn't COVID at that time.
But it wasn't COVID. It wasn't flu, and it wasn't strep throat. However, I had that little COVID scare, and then something went on. I just went into the urgent care today because I'm still having this weird thing going on with my throat, and they go, yeah, you might have tonsillitis. So here's some antibiotics. I'm like, another round of antibiotics. So far this year has not been nice to go to the doctors for.
Yeah, he's been to. So we are manifesting that he's getting out all the sickness right now. You're like catching up from like last year from like not getting sick at all other than COVID, and then all of this year. So I'm hoping for the both of us that we don't get sick, but there's been no COVID. Everything gets wiped down in this house daily. And we're going to continue to do that because again, I don't want to get it again. So nonetheless, we are back. We have filmed the reactions for episode 2 and 3 of The Last of Us, which is what we're going to be talking about today on the live stream, as well as
definitely want to talk about episode 3, the latest one for The Last of Us. Oh, it was so good.
Yes, and then sorry, you killed my flow.
Sorry.
The spoiler discussion for The Legend of Vox Machina 4 through 6, and then those videos will come later whenever I can finish editing them. Dustin is working on some of them as well, but we do have the Chocolate Emporium video up. If you guys are missing a Movie Couple Eats, that's a fun little video for you to check out. And then I will have 2 movie reviews up on the channel as well. One is for 84 Brady and the other one is for Knock at the Cabin. So that is that. We're going to go ahead and get into some super chats before we get into the topics. This first one comes from Marvin Martin, who writes, speaking of zombies, CGP Gray's Why Die? Samuel Jackson's Caveman's Valentine.
Oh.
And finally, if you could make Cupid a badass. I remember
if you were
in Xena, the Warrior Princess show, Carl Urban played Cupid.
Oh, that's right.
That can be my version of a badass Cupid. At first, I remember because I was...
How long ago was that?
I was like really, really young when I watched that show, and I loved it because I was like, wow.
Baby Carl Urban.
Badass, warrior princess. She's got that circular thing, and she did the yell, her costume, and I was like, man, she's bad. Like, I love Lucy Lawless. So when I got to meet her back in the Collider days, I was trying not to fangirl out because it was pretty awesome. And then they introduced Cupid, was he like, did he have like, okay, somebody refresh my memory in the chat.
Because it's been a while since we've seen it.
Was there a connection between her and Aries to Cupid? Or am I thinking of like, or was there like a romantic thing with her and Cupid?
I thought it was something with him and Aphrodite, because Aphrodite is the goddess of love.
Right.
Or something.
But she wasn't really ever in the show, but her and Aries definitely had this like thing going on. Oh, I don't remember, but that is my badass version of since my head
Valentine's Day is coming up.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, a badass version of Cupid. You know what? Honestly, you can't really beat that version of Cupid as Carl Urban. I always pronounce his name wrong, but I have to admit, to see kind of like a mixture of Judge Dredd and Cupid. To where he just like, instead of having like a bow and arrow, it's actually like just like a little sniper rifle that has like the stung pellets, and it's actually like a love serum that he shoots into people.
Oh,
that would be kind of funny. But yeah, Cupid, is always the little baby in diapers with his cute little bow and arrow with the heart on it.
Not in Xena.
Nope.
He is a badass. Let me see. Let me look up Xena Cupid real quick, because I want to I want to make sure.
You want to look up, see what, because he's got to be pretty young in that, because I mean that was back in the 90s, so at least.
Okay, Cupid. I'm looking on the fandom Wikipedia. So Cupid, love of God, we knew that, the son of Aphrodite.
Oh.
And had an unspecified father. His job is to spread love to mortal beings. He was often at odds with his mother, Aphrodite, over how to do their respective jobs. He disliked having to obey her orders about which mortals to influence.
Oh, okay. That's kind of a cute little story, though, to have like a struggle between mom and son. But Mom, I want to make these people fall in love.
I'm trying to see if I can find where. Okay. Nope, that's... Oh.
And
I don't remember this. So Cupid was married and had a son named Bliss, who caused chaos for Xena and Gabriella, when he takes his father's arrows and shoots people with them in Comedy of Arrows, where Xena sends Joxer to find Cupid so the gods could reverse the effect and clean up the mess. I don't remember that episode, but I remember him being in Xena a lot, and I thought they had a thing, but I guess not. I thought they did, because like Cupid was always kind of that, like, for being like the god of love, or whatever. Like, he was kind of mopey, I remember, or like a little emo. Do you remember?
Like, God, Mom.
Yeah.
I want to be able to make the people who fall in love.
Okay. So that is that. And then finally, the last question by Marvin. If you were in a Groundhog's Day time loop, what would it be?
How did you get Groundhog's Day?
Because what else is a time loop? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it would, for a Groundhog's Day time loop, yeah, it would be kind of weird at first, but then you'd probably be doing exactly what Bill Murray was doing, which was, okay, let's learn how to play piano. Let's learn another language. Let's do this. There's enough stuff to learn, I think, to where if you had multiple lifetimes to be able to do it, that you could keep yourself relatively, what is that called? Relatively interested and not be like, oh my gosh, I've done everything. Yeah. However, he was kind of stuck in this little ho-hum town of a little out in the middle of nowhere. So you probably didn't have very many options on what you can learn. I guess you can learn how to cook. You can learn how to, he learned how to, do that chainsaw, ice sculpting.
What's up with the hair, man? Sorry.
You could find out you can try 100 different hairstyles. You could find out what you look like completely shaven bald and then be like, nope, I don't like it. But the next morning, poof, all the hair's back.
Man, I don't know what I would do if I was stuck in a time loop. I put myself back in Tokyo.
Oh, and spend the time just one whole day. You just be able to spend all day
but like fully explore specific areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I would do. That or something with the dogs.
Yay. You'd be able to spend many days with Falcor.
That's probably what I would choose over Tokyo. Okay. Let's see. We have another super chat, and then we're going to get into the DC stuff. This one is from Anthony. Anthony Solis. Thank you. Anthony writes, I am so excited for all the news coming from DC. From the DC. Sorry. I can't read. Let me start over. I am so excited for all the news coming from DC. The shows, the movies. Happy Dustin is here and in the clear. Yay. Thank God. Finally, we're all clear. Anthony, thank you so much for your support. I'm glad you were able to join us today. Hopefully you're doing well, not having to work too hard. Okay, so that is it for super chats. We are gonna go ahead and get into
our first topic of the day.
So I don't have any photos or anything like that, but let's talk about it because James Gunn, when they did it like a very clean, like very kept it real short and sweet, to the point. He knows what everybody wants. What is the plan for DC? What is this 10-year plan? Well, guess what? Here's chapter 1. And it was in a just stand up talking head 5-minute video that just delivered information and gave some visual accompaniment, visual assets to the video. I love the way that was like, can we do all announcements like this? Just like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, you know, that's kind of what James Gunn has been known for. He does come out and he's like, okay, hey guys, this is the plan. This is what we're going to be doing. I'm obviously not going to tell you everything because we're still either working on it or we want it to be a surprise. But James Gunn has always been pretty straightforward about what he is planning to do and the direction that he's going with his movies. So I'm really happy that he decided to do this. And I love how he described this. And I think this is something that Marvel could also take notes from, in the fact that he was like, okay, so we're going to have our DC universe, and then we're going to have, what was
DCU and Elseworld.
And Elseworld. I keep on wanting to call it extended universe, but no, Elseworld. And I'm like, that is brilliant. That is amazing, because that means now DC is not limited by having, no, we have to stay in this universe. Someone comes up and says, hey, I've got this brilliant idea for a such and such movie. However, it doesn't really fit into the DCU. So, but that doesn't mind. That's an Elseworld story.
Right.
We want to do a Swamp Thing movie. That's fine. It doesn't have to connect to anything that we are related to. We could have 2 different Batmans. We could have 2 different Supermans. We could have one story about a young Superman, and then a few months later have the series Red Sun come out and have it be a completely different actor. All I want is for DC to be untethered and to be able to tell any story they want, because there's so many good stories out there that I want to see up on the big screen or turned into a TV series.
Yes.
And it seems now that they're able to do that. They're able, if they wanted to have a Dark Justice League series going on, and while they're still telling Doom Patrol, they can do that.
Doom Patrol went bye-bye.
Which I'm a little bummed about too.
But Ethan, our friend Ethan, who plays Agent Forsyth, the guy with the things
with the needles for hands.
He was asked back for I think an episode or 2 for the final season.
Oh, cool.
Well, he announced it on his I don't know if it's aired already or what, but I'm like,
couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Yeah, Ethan's honestly the best, like the most humble, the most nice person. And real quick before we get, I see a super chat popping up. Before we get back into that and talk about more DC stuff, I want to also say thank you for those who are tuning in from Twitch. Thank you so much to Debbie Star Drew, and there's one more person in there, but I can't see.
And somebody else.
Hold on. I want to get this. Oh, Stardew. Okay. Yes, Debbie and Stardew. So they just put this little bit of news. So just a quick departure from the DC stuff. This is pertaining to the Super Bowl. So the movie trailer spots for the Super Bowl will include The Flash, Fast X, which I think the trailer came out for that today, so we probably should do a reaction to it. I thought. I don't know. I thought I saw an email, but maybe not. Transformers and Ant-Man. Wait,
huh?
When is the Super Bowl?
February. It should be sometime in February.
But Ant-Man also comes out in, well, I guess it makes sense. It's the last big push.
Yeah, even if movie. Honestly, even if it does come out before the Super Bowl, it would make sense that they
February 12th, and Ant-Man comes out the 17th.
Oh,
I think so. That makes
sense. That would be their
just
last
because we're
final
seeing
push.
It on the 6th doesn't mean. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, good to know. That is the day. What day is that? Make sure you're not working that day, Dustin.
What?
Day? Oh, it's Sunday. Super Bowl Sunday. Yeah, you don't. Oh, you do work on Sundays.
I do work on Sundays. So they might be. You might be getting a whole bunch of 30-second, 1 minute or 1 minute trailer reactions with Wendy.
Yeah, and then Dustin will have to film them later separately. We'll just put them up separately because I don't know what time he's going to get home.
I probably will get off around 5:30.
We'll see. Okay, thank you so much to Debbie for dropping that in our Discord. Let's see. Yeah, The Flash, Fast X. This makes sense. It's all big tentpole movies, you know.
And it makes sense. Yeah, when the Super Bowl comes out, that's the one those are the commercials that really take up the most time. Are the big budget movies that are coming out. I mean, last year, we got so many different trailers that dropped, and that's pretty much what we spent doing all day long. Is just like, a new trailer's out, a new trailer's out.
So,
and then we have to decide on which commercial is the funniest, because that's the next thing that you're looking for are the commercials that are just slapstick.
I still remember
funny.
the monster.com one. That was from years ago, but that cracked me up so much because it was so unexpected.
Monster.com.
Yeah, I'll show it to you after this. It's so funny.
Don't remember that one.
If you feel like crying, being
that's right. Punching a koala or
something like that. Yeah. Excuse me. So Disney looks like it's going to have a pretty big part as far as the trailer goes. So they're expecting, and this is from Deadline, from the report that Debbie put in the Discord, we're going to probably get spots for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Little Mermaid, Elemental, Indiana Jones 5, the Marvels. And it says on the report, no spots for Disney Plus's Secret Invasion are expected.
Oh,
yeah,
and that's honestly, that's one of the Disney Plus shows that I'm looking forward to the most in Phase 5. I've been wanting to see Secret Invasion so bad, and I know it's going to have to change a lot. I know they're going to really focus a lot more on Nick Fury instead of Tony Stark. So, but you know what? Maybe that's good, because then I don't have to watch anything more for Secret Invasion, and I could be more of a surprise when I watch it on Disney Plus.
Yes, and we're gonna go ahead and take this super chat, which should help direct us back into the conversation with DC. So this is from the Hour Man, who writes, "Thank you for your super chat. By the way, a lot of people have attributed chapters as DC's version of phases." Great point. I was about to make that before we hit the other break. However, I think that chapters are more akin to sagas, with it being the theme of this part of the story, like the Infinity Saga. I think I hear what you're saying, and I do like that they're calling it something. They can't, obviously, they could call it Phase 1 because you can't copyright that kind of a terminology, but to just set them apart and calling it Chapter 1 and then they're saying it the Gods and Monsters, I think that makes sense for like this. I think it's like 11 projects on this slate as of right now. I don't think there's more than that.
I think chapters is going to be closer to phases, because right now the list of movies and TV shows that they have brought out seems about the size of a phase. So, and I think a saga they're going to call something else. But like maybe since we're doing chapters, it might be book 1.
Yeah, it might be book 1.
But honestly, I think this is just the beginning. I'm sure they have a ton more stuff that they're not telling us.
Yes.
This is the stuff that they are confirming because they know this is what they're going to do. And they're probably going to change some stuff later on down the line. Even James Gunn himself, when he did his announcement, said, now there's still going to be some things that I haven't talked about in this first chapter. So there's still room for growth. There's still room for changes. But I just love the direction that they are taking. I love the fact that we're going to get a lot. What James Gunn really does like doing is some of these more obscure things. I mean, you don't get very more obscure than Guardians of the Galaxy when it first came out. There were so many people that had no idea.
Yeah. So go ahead and continue. I got to go do a thing, so I'll be right back.
Okay.
Go ahead and continue discussing this right here, and then if you want to take Mumra's super chat as well, and I'll be back as soon as I can. I'll be right back.
Sounds good. I'm going to scoot. Now I'm in the center of the camera, but honestly, I just so far everything that that James Gunn said. I mean, it was only 5 minutes long, so we don't really know. I mean, that's really not much information. He gave us the meat and what is it, like the meat and potatoes of what DC is going to be tackling. And a lot of it is, even some of the stuff that were some of the big tentpole stuff are things that I haven't really heard about. I have to hold on a second. I want to get the list that Wendy posted so I can go through all of the different things that James Gunn said that he was going to be bringing out. Or that that DC is going to be bringing out, because I was like, for example, I think the first one was Waller. One of the first ones that they're going to be doing is Waller, which I think could connect very well with a lot of the different stuff, especially with the Suicide Squad. I'm really curious on if they're going to be connecting James Gunn's Suicide Squad into this next generation of DC, since they are really focusing on Waller, and also the same actress. Put down the name of the actress. I'm terrible at remembering names, but I think she's also going to be in it as Amanda Waller, who, I have to admit, despite what you may think about the first or the second Suicide Squad, Viola Davis. Thank you so much for putting it into the chat. Viola Davis did an amazing job as Amanda Waller. She's just intense. She has these amazing scenes, and she just is dominating in these roles. She can go up against some of these guys that are 2-3 feet taller than her, or is a giant shark, and still put them in their place. So I think Viola Davis does an amazing job, and I want to see her more of her Waller. But it's also, if I'm not mistaken, a series that they are bringing out for Waller. So we're going to get a lot more development there. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's being connected to Peacemaker. But Wendy, hold on a second. Wendy's yelling at me. So yeah, it's the Waller series is going to be connected to Peacemaker. Let me see. Okay, where is? Oh wait, that's right. I'm looking for Wendy's Instagram, but it's actually, if I'm not mistaken, on the Movie Couple Instagram that she posted it on. Let me bring up the entire list. Come on. There we go. Okay. So, Creature Commandos. That one I know very little about. And I'm excited that they're bringing in more and more of these things that aren't in the mainstream of DC, because these are things that they get to explore more. These are things that they get to be able to present in brand new, fresh to an audience that may not be as super sweaty as some of DC fans, but it's also a big treat for anyone who is super sweaty, because you're like, oh my gosh, I love this series when I read it in the comics, and now I'm finally being able to see it back on the big screen, or even just a TV series. Waller's coming out, Superman Legacy, Lanterns. Now, okay, I love the way they described Lanterns, that it's going to be a true crime, but with the Lantern Corps, and a team up between Hal Jordan and oh my God, names are the bane of my existence. But I love the fact that we're going to be able to get some Lantern lore into this DCU, and to have a series that is just this gritty kind of John Stewart. Thank you so much. This gritty kind of crime drama, but based in the Green Lantern's world. I'm just like, this is amazing. This is such good news to hear. But one of the ones that I'm actually super excited for, just because I'm curious on how they're going to tackle it, is going to be a Booster Gold. I love the concept of Booster Gold, someone that's from the future bringing common everyday future technology into our timeline, and like, I'm going to be a superhero. And I'm just like, that is right up James Gunn's alley. So, and we don't know exactly who's going to be directing or who's going to actually be. We know that James Gunn is going to be the driving force behind this, but we don't know if he's going to be writing any of these or if he's actually going to be directing any of these. So I'm really curious to hear more about it, because so far we've only just begun. Okay. Now that we've tackled the Our Man's super chat. Thank you so much for that super chat, man. Let me scroll down and get to our next super chat by Mumra. So Mumra says, what happens if Guardians 3 is bad? Does that hurt fans' enthusiasm and DC heads' confidence in Guns, especially after Suicide 2 not doing well financially? Well, I think the reason why Suicide Squad didn't do as well financially is because of previous DC movies not doing so well, not necessarily James Gunn's take and direction on it. If Guardians of the Galaxy 3, it depends on how bad it is. If it is like you're sitting there and you're watching it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Yes, I think it will have a lot of effect on people's confidence going forward about James Gunn's directing this new generation of DC. But they've kind of already dived in with him. They've kind of grabbed arm in arm with James Gunn and going, okay, we're going forward. And whether or not Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is bad, good, somewhere in between, fantastic, or god awful, I think they've kind of already made plans to, this is where they're sailing. And I think they're going to wait for some results, some of the actual projects to start bearing fruit before they make a decision on whether or not to jump ship again. I hope not. I hope that they decide to stick with this plan and continue moving forward. So yeah, even I don't really blame James Gunn for the financial, the fact that Suicide Squad 2 didn't do as financially well. I think that's because Suicide Squad 1 did not have good reviews. There were a lot of critics that really, really did not like that movie. Whether you loved it or not, some of the critics just really, dug into it. So I think moving forward, I think they're sailing the ship. They're going to stick with James Gunn, and they're going to wait for some of the projects that they've planned to bear fruit. What do you think? If Guardians of the Galaxy 3 ends up being horrible, does that hurt fan enthusiasm and DC heads' confidence in James Gunn?
No. Based on his track record for Guardians of the Galaxy specifically, and just looking at the reaction of the cast, what they have to say about this movie, and the kind of story we're going to get, I expect it to hear really positive reviews for this movie. And plus, we know that this chapter for Guardians, the James Gunn, like specifically this chapter, and also probably for some of the characters, is coming to an end. And I always feel that it's really good when the storytellers, directors, whoever can acknowledge that this is the end of the journey for some of these characters, and it's time to say, like, okay, your chapter ends here, whatever that may mean, and then we're gonna move on. Like, I feel like when they know, then they understand, like, they're telling a good story, because then they're not just trying to cash in on these characters, like put them in another movie, put it in another movie, and so on and so forth. Sorry, I'm gonna pause real quick. Did you find something?
It's the same one.
Okay. Is it okay?
Yeah, it's just I felt it, and I was like, what is that?
I'm gonna look.
But also, I think that's very true. And you see it all the time in very popular TV shows, to where they just run it into the ground, and the last season is just terrible. I mean, you saw it with Buffy, where they just kept on going with the story when they're like, no, we need to end it here. Oh, no, we want 2 more seasons.
Season 5 should have ended it there.
Mm-hmm. Same thing with Castle. They went to season 7. If they would have ended it at season 6, it would have been fantastic. But they wanted to pump out every last dollar, in a sense, that they possibly could. But I think with this, they're going to just keep on moving forward until they get some more definite results on James Gunn's connection to DC.
So I think if it let's just say, for the hypothesis of Rumra's question, don't click it away. I don't think it would hurt the fan enthusiasm and DC like heads confidence in him, because they hired him for a reason. The man clearly has a vision. Peacemaker was a success. His Suicide Squad was good. It was just unfortunate that it was released, I think, day and date, right, to theater and streaming, I want to say. So like that, and it was during COVID, so like it was, the situation is it's a whole different ball game. It's different. So I think you don't just, I think this may have been the best decision. Well, we'll see, I guess, but
we'll see what happens.
I think it was a really good decision to make James Gunn, sort of, and Peter, like the co-heads of DC. And
I keep on saying just James Gunn, but completely forgetting about Peter as well.
Safran, yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the next one. Oh, by the way, I heard you guys talking about Booster Gold. Once upon a time, I would have loved to see Nathan Fillion play Booster Gold, because I think he'd be perfect. Plus, he works with James Gunn a lot. He had a cameo in Guardians 1. I don't know about Guardians 2. And it's not like his face, it's his voice.
Yeah.
But he was also definitely the TDK, right? In Suicide Squad. So like, I feel that James Gunn enjoys working with Nathan Fillion and vice versa. And I don't know if that conversation is still open for maybe Nathan Fillion to play Booster Gold, or if they've like moved on from that. I also heard friend of the show Ash Crossan tweet, and I didn't hear it, I read it, that potentially she, and it's not confirmed, this is just her talking about it because it was an interview with Glenn Powell, but potentially Glenn Powell being Booster Gold, who I thoroughly enjoyed in Top Gun Maverick and in Devotion.
Oh, he could pull it off.
Yeah, I think the look and everything. Yeah. So like, I mean, I wouldn't be mad at that either. I am so sorry. I'm on call for like jobs, so that's why I go away for like a little bit. Okay, I put my phone on silent. I'm sorry, you guys.
Next super chat.
It's not from Mumra, because we just did this one.
You go back. It's that one.
This one.
I had placed it.
Brennan Marr.
Thank
you, Brennan. Hope you're well. Brennan Marr writes, "Hello there, Wendy and Dustin. Have you read Superman Red Sun?"
Yes.
He has. I haven't.
Well, let me preface this. I saw the animated show. I saw the animated movie.
More than me.
And I have to admit, I loved it. If they kept everything the same from the comic book to the animated show, I love it. I cannot wait for them to do either a TV show or a movie of Red Sun. And the way that they're setting it up, they can have that be an Elsewhere story. Elseworld.
And Brennan says it's an incredible comic that might make a really interesting Elseworld movie. Yeah.
I'm right there with you 100%. And with the way they're setting it up, they can tell that story. I'm really excited for them to do that.
Absolutely. Super excited. And at first, when I heard the announcement, I was like, oh, so we're still not going to have like a completely full, just like a singular connective universe. We're going to still do Elseworld, but putting them, upon further reflection, putting them in a category, movies like Joker 2, Joker 1.
Heck, the Batman is going to be Elseworld.
Yes. So that's what I was getting to. That those movies are so good, it would be a shame to not acknowledge them and somehow put them in somewhere in the universe. And I think the Elseworld is perfect for that. And with this DC slate, we know that what is coming up next is Shazam.
Shazam's up next.
And then Aquaman?
No, Aquaman comes in December.
Oh.
I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, this is the order of Shazam. Then it's going to be
the Flash movie.
Or is it? Oh yeah, I guess it would be the Flash. Then it'd be Blue Beetle, and then it'd be Aquaman.
Blue Beetle's coming out before Aquaman. Wow.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think so.
Okay. So, the Flash in that announcement that James Gunn said is the one that's going to reset everything, which is like
makes sense.
Totally makes sense for that character
Flashpoint!
Because the Flashpoint and everything. So I wonder, and this has nothing to do with any of the announcements, but I wonder, does the Ezra Miller Flash continue on, or because it's reset, the A Flash will be obviously in the conversation of future DC stuff, just not that Flash specifically. Maybe they refer back to it using all the footage that they've already used and like kind of like, because it does happen. But then moving forward, we will get a different Flash. Obviously, that's not included in this slate or this chapter. It'll be later, but it's very exciting. Very curious about how that movie's going to reset everything. So we have one more super chat that we're going to get to right now. This again comes from the Hour Man. Thank you so much. Who writes in the comic, the Authority is supposed to be like the anti-hero version of the Justice League. I think that will be the reverse, and the Authority will inspire the creation of the Justice League. I like that.
Kind of like, the Justice League is looking at these guys who are they're all kind of messed up. I was watching the new Rockstars breakdown of everything that James Gunn said. And they were describing each one of these people. And I'm like, wow, they're kind of messed up. But yet they're still trying to do good, but yet, very anti-hero.
Yeah.
I'm excited. There's a lot more DC content that I am unfamiliar with. And now that all of this content is going to be coming out and starting to have their own time in the sun, so to speak, I am very excited to see.
Jay!
What?
Hi!
Hey! Booster Gold!
You guys, Jason, I don't know if Jay's still here, but if he is, drop some peaches in the chat. I don't know. Are there peach emojis? Do we get them?
I don't know.
Let me see. Do we get them?
There's got to be peach emojis in.
Oh, nope. That's not what happened. Hold on.
I mean, of course there are peaches.
You can actually.
There's lots and lots of peaches. There we go.
It's not like a uniquely created peach emoji, but if you
I would love
have access
to have a crack at Booster Gold. Because he is so presentational. He is so
It's so you. It reminds me of Gilderoy Lockhart.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I used to dress up as Gilderoy Lockhart, and I actually have a Gilderoy Lockhart costume. And I'd be like, all right, everyone, I'm Gilderoy Lockhart. And just kind of be this over-the-top character. It was the most fun of a character I've ever had. And being able to play those kind of pompous characters is really fun.
Yeah, because it's just dramatic. Just we live for the drama. We live for the drama. Okay. Let's see. Yeah.
Peaches,
look at all the peaches. I don't even know if Jay's still here, but thank you so much. Oh, yeah, there he is. Yeah, Jay.
Yay.
Woo woo. Jay, I hope you sent your character sheet to Rossi because we're playing D&D this Saturday. A private game. We're not airing it. private game, because people are gonna ask if I don't say that right away.
Yeah, no, true.
Maybe in the future.
Hoping in the future we'll work on
maybe
it.
broadcast one, but I would hire on a producer / technical director. I'd probably reach out to our friend Jared.
Yeah.
And just have him do it and stream it that way.
Good old Jared Hoy.
Yeah, because he has the capacity to do it and I don't. So, and plus, then I can play and not worry about the technical stuff.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I'm saying? So, okay. Are there any other super chats?
Yes, we missed a blue one.
I'm sorry, y'all. Black Bono.
Black Bono.
Right. I definitely like the DC slate.
It's different. Me too.
I really do like it as well. And thank you for your super chat. I like what James Gunn said. Let me just find it here. What do you see?
I'm sorry. Rutu just put this in the chat. I want to see Chris Pratt play Darkseid. Okay. Let's, he's Mario. So maybe we can get a little bit of Mario and Darkseid.
Starfield. He's
Star-Lord.
Star-Lord,
man.
He's the Lego movie dude, Elliot. He's all the things. Okay, this is what James Gunn. I think it was James Gunn that said this. Yes, about this new slate going into it, kind of their thought process. And he says, "quote One of our strategies is to take our diamond characters." Which is essentially the Holy Trinity, the Batman and the Superman and the Wonder Woman. And we use them to prop up other characters that people don't know. And Smart. I love this so much. And I already saw on Twitter, people were like, but where's Wonder Woman? I was like, but hold on, like, let's let them get there, right? Let them get there. And I feel like it's still been way too long since we've had a Superman movie. So we're going to be getting a Superman movie, right? The Legacy. And then we're going to get a Batman movie. We're going to get our introduction into the Bat family with Damian.
Yep.
Which I'm kind of on the fence. I'm like back and forth because I'm like, I love Batman. So I'm like, oh, that movie? Absolutely.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, with the Bat family.
I will buy into it and the tickets. But at the same time, when they said for Robin, it's going to be Damian, I went, oh, I was really hoping for a Jason Todd.
Well, honestly, that doesn't mean that they can't have Nightwing. They can't have Dick not be. They could have Dick Grayson be Nightwing with Damian, and there's not, just like we see in the comic books a lot, that little bit of butting heads of, well, I'm the real son, you're just the adopted son. Ooh. From Damian, but yet there's this love-hate relationship between the two. And if we were able to get introduced to Nightwing, I think that'd be awesome. And this just leaves the door wide open for so much stuff.
Yeah.
Everything we ever wanted to see from DC is possible now.
Yeah. So there's a lot of really exciting stuff. We get either like the Diamond character or Diamond character adjacent, because we are going to be getting not just a Batman movie and a Superman movie, both coming out in 2025, but we're also getting a TV show based in Themyscira. It's called Paradise Lost, and it's supposed to be like GOT sort of a vibe, which I can't wait, because y'all know I love my girl. I love Wonder Woman. So I can't wait to see what they're going to do with that. And I think it's cool to kind of set up that backstory, and then we can introduce, like, have a really good understanding of the Amazons and of Themyscira. And then we introduce Diana. And I think then there you can then you don't have to waste time in her movie to be like, where does she come from? Like, that may have already been set up. And James Gunn said that they're going to use the TV and movies. They're going to connect them. That's what they're doing with, I think, is it the Authority? No, the Creature Commandos. They're going to cast voice actors that they will also have those same, whoever voices these characters, they're going to be using them in the live action as well. So I think that's all of this is really, really promising. Obviously, we haven't seen a single thing yet, so we can say we're excited and this looks promising, and then we can kind of react to that later on when we see the shows or the movies. So we have to save our judgment, but it's okay to be excited and change your mind later, and vice versa. You could be kind of like lukewarm to it, and then once you see it, you're like, oh my gosh, okay, this totally makes sense. But I do like that they're bringing up more obscure characters.
Yes. And another thing that we haven't really talked about is the movie Supergirl. Woman of Tomorrow. And this is the thing, from what they were talking about is the drastic difference between Kal-El and Supergirl, because one, Superman was raised on Earth, loving parents, very supported, but Supergirl was on the planet Krypton when it exploded, and that the fact that she had to survive watching everyone around her die for 14 years before she came to Earth. What does that do to a person? How does that change their psyche? And I'm like, I love that character deep dive.
Yeah.
I want to see more of these kind of dark, gritty character deep dives, and still be able to have cool, fun, quirky characters like Booster Gold, and then go into Swamp Thing, and then go into these characters that we've never heard about before. And so but once again, we are at the pre-beginning phase,
right?
Where we're just getting all of this information. This is just brand new. Right now, it's all talk.
Yeah.
That's all it is. We have not seen a single bit of film. Nothing for this new chapter has been filmed yet, has been casted yet. So we don't know what this is going to be. So right now we get to create whatever we want.
Debbie is asking this from Twitch. Again, thank you for everybody who is watching via Twitch. She writes, do you think Sasha Calle, who is going to be playing Supergirl in the Flash movie, will get to play Supergirl in the film that James Gunn just announced? I think it's possible. I do think it's possible. At the same time, though, I would say they also are saying that this movie is going to be the one that resets the DCU, so they could potentially be looking at of she's in it and now she's not gonna, like, she'll still exist, but she could be an Elseworld character, or I am not sure. I would like to see her. I personally would like to see her continue. But it depends, because how old is she in the Flash? And where is this Kara in her journey versus the movie that we're going to get with the Supergirl movie?
Yeah.
Like, is she going to be younger, or she's going to be the same age? So it just really depends on, because we don't know much of anything with the Flash aside from the little bits that we've seen from trailers. And, like, they can't give too much because it'll spoil, right? It'll spoil. Yeah. We can all assume that Flashpoint is obviously a big part for the movie, but other than that, I don't know. I don't even know if, like, is Keaton still in the movie, or did he get
axed?
Yeah,
from it? I hope they keep him in there, because I would love to see it. And also another thing, speaking of Michael Keaton as playing an old Batman, this means we're one step closer to hopefully getting a Batman Beyond
Let's go,
movie.
Batman
Let's
Beyond.
see Batman Beyond.
That's what I want.
But that might not even happen until chapter 2.
Chapter 2.
So
insert tagline.
And also it's the fact that the thing is with Batman is that Batman Beyond, it does connect to one of their Diamond characters. And it seems like like James Gunn said, they want to use their Diamond characters to lift up other unknown characters. So that's kind of still in the realm of Batman. So maybe that's going to be pushed a little bit further back.
Yeah. Rurutu's asking this: how much DC casting announcement will we see at SDCC this year? Assuming that they are really not going to be doing their own DC fandom anymore, because didn't they say that they were going to, like, put it on pause or on hold indefinitely?
Maybe.
Or something like that. We had reported on this before. If that's the case, I think it's because, like, they felt that they had more reach for going to these expos and cons as opposed to doing their own. So if that is the case, then yeah, I can fully expect WB to have a presentation at SDCC in Hall H, and they're going to blow the lid off if they do all the casting announcements, because now we have a clear idea of what this chapter 1 is going to look like, but we don't know casting. Who is going to be the Batman in The Bold and the Brave? Who is going to be our Superman? Who's going to be Kara? Who's playing the Lanterns? Who's Hal Jordan, and who's Jon Stewart?
Yeah,
we don't know yet. And that's all very, very exciting news. So yeah, I think this year we're gonna get not everything, because the movie doesn't really come out until 2025. So I don't even know if they could give us casting announcements, but I feel like they will do presentations and just to build interest, because that is the place where everybody gathers and everybody, it's talked about for weeks. It's
that's
like
where you get the sweaties of the sweaties.
There's literally no news for like the week before and the week after, because that's all everybody can talk about is whatever happens during Hall H, whether it's a DC thing or a Marvel thing or whatever it may be. So yeah. Okay, we are going to move on to our spoiler discussion for The Last of Us and for The Legend of Vox Machina. But of course, if you have any more like thoughts on DC, the DC slate, feel free to keep commenting those in the chat as we move on. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and move on to The Last of Us. The Last of Us, we're finally caught up. And again, reactions are coming. I am editing episode 2, but I also have to finish some like work stuff because that has to take priority. So, but I'll try to get it finished as quickly as I can, as well as Vox Machina, because we know new episodes are already coming. The Bad Batch, just to put that in there right now, it is on the back burner, because based on the numbers that we see, if we're comparing it to
Vox
The Last of Us, Vox Machina and The Bad Batch, the interest for The Bad Batch isn't as high as the interest for Vox Machina and The Last of Us. So The Last of Us is taking priority right now, followed by Vox Machina. That's not to say that The Bad Batch is a bad show. We actually love the show, and what I hear is that the
one that we missed is an amazing episode.
Well, we just missed, so we're 2 episodes behind right now because last week, and they're both like, we haven't watched it, but we heard that they're like so good. So we can't wait to get into it. It's just on the back burner. Will we get to it? Yes. It's just gonna have to wait, because unfortunately, when health stuff comes up and work stuff
you can't ignore it.
Yeah, you can't ignore it. And plus, like, you
can't put your health on the back burner, unfortunately.
You can't. And also, I am not going to turn down a job that pays me a good amount of money for my worth. So
because we need to pay for doctor bills.
Yes. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into not the premiere episode. What is this, Wendy? Hold on. Let me edit that real quick.
So do you want to start off with? Oh no, we are going into The Last of Us.
Yes,
right?
we are.
Okay, so
2 and 3.
Episode 2. Starting off with episode 2. I got to think back now because I remember episode 3. Oh, okay. Episode 2 was when we started to finally get into the world of the infected. Yes. You know, episode 1 ended with them getting past the walls and beginning their journey into the wild, so to speak. And I love the fact that we started to learn more about the infected, learn more about get that.
Heck yeah.
We're starting to learn more. And the fact that one thing that you can see very much about this show is that when they change things, the way that they change them are in such a way that the fans are like, okay, I can see why you changed that. That makes sense. And that is a really difficult feat to pull off. And they pulled off, I mean, what is it? They changed things about the infected to where they don't release spores anymore, but they do have this interweb connection.
The dark wood web, something like that. The wood wide web.
Wood wide web
is what. So there's always at the end of the episode, if you stay past the credit, there is inside the episode or something like that. HBO, I think, does this for all the shows because I'm currently catching up on White Lotus season 2, and they also have it for the White Lotus. So that's what Nick Druckmann was talking about, and how they researched some of the fungi, and that's really scary to think about, like it's an organism.
The fact that it
can communicate,
one living organism, that it's the world's largest organism. And it spans across
as humans, we can get our asses kicked so easily by everything else in this role. Like I think we're
just waiting for it to happen.
Oh, God, yes. So this one, we get a little flashback, and we get to travel back to Jakarta, where kind of the epicenter of it all. And we find out that it wasn't because somebody brought fungus back. Well, I guess we don't know exactly how it got in there, but we know how it spread, and that is through the grains, the flour.
Yes. And they even mentioned it again in episode 3, to where they do talk about when Ellie and Joel are walking down the street,
Mm-hmm.
and they are kind of like, he's like, well, how did it start? I mean, you were there on day one. I'm only 14 years old, and this happened 20 years ago. And I like the fact that Joel was able to kind of break it down after we had already learned about it in episode 2. And the way it developed, the way that they brought in that specialty scientist, and you saw those fear on her face, and they're like, what should we do? Bomb everything. Bomb it. And then we get to see
crazy
the result of that destruction in episode 2 when they're going through Boston and they're going through the city. You're just seeing big holes in the ground of just devastation and destruction and firebombing, because that's the only way to have gotten rid of it. And apparently it didn't do a good enough job.
I mean, it kind of paused the spread for a little bit, but it's too fast. And one of the things that we learned, so there's still episode 2 was the test episode, right?
The what? Yes.
Okay. So yeah, they're trying to deliver Ellie essentially where they need to go. So kind of exchange her for the car battery or whatever it is else they need, so they can set out then to look for Joel's brother Tommy. And so they have to traverse in this outside world. And what's so interesting to watch is the dynamic of the three. Joel being kind of like I have a job and I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And you, this is your task and shut up and do it. And Tess is a little bit more nurturing when it comes to Ellie and finding out what with her, how she seems to be immune to the bites and stuff, to the infected. It seems to kind of have ignited a little bit of hope in Tess. And then we have Ellie, who's literally never been on the issue. One, she's young, so she's not been exposed to anything like that. To even I don't think she remembers. Yeah, I think she was born during all of this.
Well, yeah, she was born 6 years after.
Yeah.
That first half of episode 1. Hold on a second.
Oh,
sorry. I still have something that tickles my throat.
So it's fascinating to watch her being so kind of wide-eyed and kind of like, oh my gosh, what is this? Oh my gosh, what is this? Oh, I've only read about it in books. Yeah. So it's really fun to see her kind of be like, wow. And I'm like, shh, be quiet. And that is where they encounter the
clickers.
The clickers.
Oh, the design on these guys, the way that they filmed them, the way that they moved, the way that they sounded was so well developed and so well executed, made them terrifying, made them just deformed and just scary looking. I thought it was, and the way that they also choreographed the cinematography in it was amazing as well. I love just the tension that was built. And the way that they had to fight these creatures.
Yeah, there's a very specific, and I feel like everybody who have played the game, like I really wonder what their reaction is like as they watched it, because they got to play through that part of it. And so do what did the clickers look like in the game? How do they move and how do you fight them versus like how the game portrayed? For someone who hasn't played the game before, I thought it was really well done. The design is just totally creepy because they're like their face and their eyes and ears are just, well, not their ears, but their eyes are just overgrown with the fungus. So it's kind of like they're like the bat in like a little echolocation sort of a situation. And when they finally were able to kind of zoom in on the sound and where things were coming from, they went into a frenzy of just like must infect more. And that episode, what's great about this show, I know we're only 3 episodes, but not every single show is filled the whole time where you're like, oh my God, I'm so scared.
Yeah. And honestly, they're doing a great job on balancing that. Also, what I really love is the dialogue in the show. And CJ, you point out a really good example, yes, of it. Can I have a gun? No. All right, I'll just throw a sandwich at them. And I'm like,
Ellie, the dynamic between Ellie and Joel, like they're back and forth. And I know it's all in the writing, but the way they deliver it is really, really fantastic.
And in episode 3, where she's like, can I have a gun? There's literally a whole wall of them. And Joel's like, no, I'm not giving you a gun.
Yeah, and she's like, just a little one. They're not gonna know. She's like, all right. And he's like, I'm not giving you a child. Absolutely not. So we get to the end. We finally they get to their destination. Something is very wrong. Nobody's there.
Dead.
No one has survived. And unfortunately, somebody got infected. And then they were looking to obviously infect the entire group. So it just was just awful all around because nobody survived that. You know, they were kind of fighting amongst each other because survival and fear of being infected, and like you can't have that. So needless to say, they didn't really get to fulfill their goal, their task, because they couldn't. And unfortunately, during the struggle earlier in the museum, Tess was bitten and the spread had already started, and that scene was really hard to watch because I just see Joel keep losing people. The way he lost his daughter, you can say in a way he lost Tommy.
Yeah,
then he has to go and search for him, and now the one person he has any kind of like emotionally connection with, he can't have the he just and it's your brain knows there's nothing you can do about it, but at the same time, like, this is Tess. This is the person he's spent
I can't let go right now.
Right.
But just the fact that also in episode 3, when he gets that note from Bill, and just that reminder of Joel's failures.
Yeah.
How many times he has failed to protect the people that he loves, and what is going on right now? He is now in charge with protecting someone who is incredibly important.
Yes. So she, begs Joel, you gotta, she's the beacon of hope, Ellie. And you gotta do this, because they're comparing, like, because Ellie got bitten one more time as well, and her arm was not spreading the way that Tess's was. So Tess makes the ultimate sacrifice, which it almost didn't happen until the last second. And what was really interesting was we were talking about the Wood Wide Web earlier, and they had explained it before, how we saw like a group of the infected just laying down, and they kind of, like, the way they were moving, it was almost kind of like a wave going over them.
Yeah,
do you remember?
When the sunlight went over them.
Yeah, and they were talking about how you have to be careful where you step, because some of the vines or whatever, if they're still like alive and well, then they would know exactly where you are, and they can alert, because everybody's connected, all the infected are connected with this one organism, that they can all be rushed. It's kind of very, very frightening. So essentially that's unfortunately what happens, because there was one infected that wasn't completely dead, and we saw the little arms of the cordyceps come up, and they knew, and the swarm of the infected came. And we had to watch how Tess, I don't know why she didn't push that person away, or like she just knew that's what had to be done in order to stall the situation.
She needed as much time as possible.
But it was really gross to watch those tendrils come out of the mouth and go into her mouth. And I was like, I don't want to watch this. It's gross and fascinating at the same time.
That's actually what makes this series so good too. Even though it's gross, even though it's fungus and it's gross and it's scary, it's still super fascinating to learn about, or to give it this science fiction scenario of fungus being the culprit of the world destruction, of the world apocalypse. Yeah. It's always been like a virus or nuclear war or humans doing something to destroy ourselves. But this time it's fungus. And I'm like, okay, interesting take.
Yeah. So Blade is saying this in regards to Tess. I think Tess couldn't move because the infection from her earlier bite had already spread and froze her. It's possible because the hosts are aware of what is happening, but they can't control it because the fungus has taken their brain. Yeah, and stuff like that. Which is like, you're like literally a prisoner in your own body. Yeah.
And all she had was that movement of her thumb.
Yeah, and I felt like she fought it.
Yeah.
Too. So and then there was another comment that I want to put up here. sadly, a week after episode 2, the actress, the voice actor, and also the mocap person for the game, the actress who played Tess, Annie Wershing, unfortunately passed away due to cancer. So that was really, really sad. I saw many posts across all social media. How unfortunate. Some condolences to her friends and family.
Yeah, her young family. She had like little
she's very
kids.
Young family. She herself is pretty young, so like she wasn't like 80, so that's just, and just everybody had just all sorts of lovely thing to say about her. She seems like she was a joy to work with. A couple of my casting director friends were like, yeah, it's really sad. She's lovely. So it's very, very unfortunate. And I am thankful that she was able to bring Tess to life.
Yes. And be able to see at least 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. 47 says, how did you like the flashback in Indonesia? There is no flashback in the first game.
Oh, that's what it makes. That actually makes sense. The fact that there wouldn't be that kind of a flashback, because it doesn't seem to fit kind of the narrative that they have going in the game. I haven't played the game, but I like it because it gives the audience a little bit more grounding of the theory and grounding of, okay, how did all of this start? So I liked it. I think it was well played and well developed. And also something is that they talked about it more at the end of episode 3, to where when there are moments that they can take that deviate from the game, but it enriches the story, they're going to do that.
Yes.
And that's very much what they did in episode 3. And it was just one of the more heart-wrenching episodes of television that I have ever watched.
Yes.
I loved that story. I loved how they developed these characters. And for some of you who've played the game, Bill doesn't die. And I know I was watching Jeremy Johns' review of episode 3, and he's sitting there going, oh, so this is why Bill is such a grump and so mean and so just grumpy the entire time. Yeah. So he wasn't expecting Bill to die.
Yeah, so that we understand is the biggest departure from the game. A lot of you guys have said that to us. And a lot of I don't remember what I was going to say, so I'm getting like a work thing. But yeah, episode 3, I, as someone who hasn't played the game, have no idea who Bill and Frank are and how important they are to the storyline. I loved seeing their story play out, to see how certain people were able to survive the pandemic, the infection, and how they live through it to the end of their day, like, and with all this, it's 20 years. And I love that it wasn't, yes, it's mostly focused on Bill and Frank, but we also got a slightly younger Joel and Tess.
Yeah, and honestly, I loved how they were able to weave them into this story as well. And honestly, I do have to admit, the fact that they spent pretty much one whole episode on something that isn't really connected to, it's connected to the game, but it's very much going off on a side quest of the game to tell this very rich story. I'm a little curious later on if that's going to affect how much time they're able to spend while with the material from the game, and whether or not it's going to be like, oh man, I wish we would have taken a few more minutes from that episode and spent it on this over here, so we could have kept these moments from the game in the series. But we won't really know that until the very end. I'm excited for the continuation of these episodes. I just love how you saw how Bill's character grew and changed, but yet also stayed the same in some contexts. I loved seeing that it was pretty much, they were able to have the richest years of their life during an apocalypse. I do call shenanigans on the fact that throughout those 20 years, there was only one raid on their house, when I think they would stick out kind of like a sore thumb, that sooner or later someone would be like, hey, this one area probably has a lot of supplies. We need to raid them. We need to get all of these supplies. It doesn't matter if they have this huge electric fence and all of these traps. We need to try and get past them. Maybe just they gave us this one little hint of this raid and, you know, kind of hinting that there'd be other raids. But I would have been interested to hear more of that as well. And there's so much of this story that I'm just like, I'm loving it. I want to hear more. Yeah. Oh, wait, we only have a few more episodes.
Yeah.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. I loved episode 3. And it wasn't like, yes, it was mainly focused on Bill and Frank, but we also got a little bit more about, you know, Joel and Ellie, and how Ellie in that one like shack or whatever, where they were gathering supplies, when she went downstairs and she encountered that one infected that was kind of stuck in the brick, and just the hatred I think she felt for. First, she was curious because she like sliced open the guy's like forehead, and then she was like, I would have never done it. Like, I would have been too chicken to do it, but she had that knife and she just stuck it in him. So I like being able to learn a little bit more about Ellie and Joe and their dynamic, and at the end how, you know, where he's like, you are gonna have to do what I say, and this is what I'm doing, you can come with.
Yeah.
But and she was like, yeah, what you say goes, and she agreed. But
well, not only that, but also the fact that Joel likes to play off that he doesn't care that much about Ellie, but that one moment to where he's like, wait, you don't want to go forward, you don't want to see what's ahead on the side of the road, and she's like, oh, now I have to see it, and you're like, no,
and then
you don't want it. And you don't do that for someone if you don't care about it.
Correct.
I mean, if Joel really didn't care about Ellie at all, he'd be like, he wouldn't have told her and just said, yeah, this is what they did. It's all over the place. But that moment at the very beginning, when Joel and Ellie, you start to see them bond a little bit. They're talking about airplanes. They're talking about the first time she's ever been in a car. No, that happens at the end of the episode.
That's at the end, yeah.
First, I've never been in a car before. And it's just these things that you don't realize. Oh, yeah, that's right. All of this stuff would sound so fantastical to a kid that was born in the apocalypse. You know, planes flying through the air, vehicles that drove, a horseless, that you didn't have to walk, a horseless carriage.
Essentially, yeah. Going back to Bill and Frank, there's hair in my face. I don't think I've gone through a single episode without shedding some kind of tears. I know for sure in episode 1, the scene with Sarah, I definitely cried.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I cried at the end of episode 2. Maybe I was too shocked to cry, potentially. But episode 3, I just kind of cried through the whole episode. I was like, dang, man. When Frank sat down at the piano and then he got up and then Bill started playing, that's when it came. The tears came and I was like, uh-oh. And I don't really think they stopped the whole episode. But it's a beautiful story, and I love that they got a chance to tell it, and they had 2 amazing actors who were able to play these characters and tell that story. So I am hoping for even more of these amazing performances. Like, I know Storm Reed is in the show as well, and she's a fantastic actress. So I can't wait to see her play her character in the show. So that is kind of where we're going to end our spoiler discussion for The Last of Us, unless there's anything you wanted to add.
No, there's a lot of cool stuff. We could geek out about this stuff all day long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely want to get into The Legend of Vox Machina.
Yeah, The Legend of Vox Machina. Oh my gosh.
Here, you talk. You started up. I need to get some water. I'm sorry.
All right, we're gonna go. I told you to get water before.
I'm sorry.
Okay, let me change up the banner real quick because it still says from the past live stream. It still says episodes 1 through 3. So we're gonna talk about episodes 4 through 6 of The Legend of Vox Machina. Again, these are spoiler discussions. So if you haven't watched episodes 4 through 6, essentially 1 through 6, if you haven't watched any of those, these are all spoilers. And if you don't want spoilers, this is where we're going to have to part ways. So if you don't care about spoilers, or you've already watched the show, you're keeping up, then by all means, stay. We love The Legend of Vox Machina so much. We're super excited that they have been, I think we talked about this already.
Renewed for season 3?
Yeah, renewed for season 3. Renewed for season 3. Greenlit a whole new animated series that's going to focus on the Mighty Nine, which is my favorite campaign. I don't even think I could pick a favorite character if I could,
all those characters are amazing.
They just mesh together really, really well. Like these characters. Like at first I was like, I love
Jester. No, I love Not. No, I love Mollymauk.
Right. So it's just anyways, that's a whole nother conversation we can have. So episode 4 picks up they kind of went in a different way. But anyways, it does pick up from what happens after Percy set up the trap while they're searching for vestiges, instantly dropping Vex to below 0 HP. And what I liked, because I know in the campaign, Zara and Cash were actually there with them. So that was like a slight deviation from the campaign, but it's fine because they came back and Cash does what he had to do, and they still showed that they had difficulty, him performing the spell on Vex, because what's important is Liam's character arc, which is him saying to the matron of the Ravens Queen, take me instead. And you saw that little golden thread that connected him and Vex being pulled apart and that thread being connected to the matron, which I was like, the animation is crazy.
Yeah.
For this episode is so beautiful, because we had a lot of back and forth of Liam now wearing, not Liam, sorry, Vex, wearing, that cool black raven armor or whatever, and seeing it in action for the first time when they had to fight that creature. And again, Vox Machina, or should I say the team over at Titmouse, when they do battle animation, it is sick. It is sick. So I loved seeing all of that, seeing his internal struggles. Literally every single one of character that Liam has played, except for Orym. I'm not sure we're quite there for that development yet, because we're only like episode 40 something. I think we're about to get it. Usually around the 40 something in the campaign is when it happens for some of the characters and for Bell's House. But his characters are quite a lot of internal turmoil.
Yes.
For both
there's always
Vax
a tragic backstory.
What's his name for
Caleb?
For Caleb. Yeah. Caleb had a lot of,
or Bran.
Yeah. Yeah. So I really enjoyed episode 4, kind of seeing them journey out of that, finding the vestige, journeying forward. But I think the episode I really liked was episode 5, and that is based on Keyleth and her Aramente, or not her Aramente, well, how she's not going on her Aramente, essentially. But it's a big character arc for her, and for episode 6, it was really like Grog's kind of storyline, right?
Yeah, well, it's focused a little bit more on them getting the neck going and meeting the Sphinx. And I thought that one was hilarious. They've changed a lot. I actually had to go back and be like, wait a second, this isn't exactly how they did this. Even in episode 4, because Cash and Zara were very much more friendly to Vox Machina at that time, and they weren't trying to ambush them at all. So Cash does come in and do his spell, and the spell does work, but I love the fact that they've tweaked it a little bit to make it so it is Liam's sacrifice, or Liam's deal with the Raven Queen, that does save Vex and bring her back to life and connect Vex to the Raven Queen. That makes that choice a lot stronger. But if you watch the campaign, you notice that it's more along the lines of this happened, and you see the wheels in Matt's head turn, going, oh, this is going to be fun, connecting you to this god of death.
He went home immediately, probably was like, I got to write the next.
Exactly. And also the locket that Zara has.
Yeah, the Pokemon locket.
The Pokemon locket. Technically, that was a part of oh man, what's his name? But the guy who was the champion before, it was actually his, and that's where he kept his pet wolf, huge dire wolf. And they actually take the dire wolf out, but the dire wolf doesn't know that his his master had died
Mm-hmm.
because he was locked away.
Mm-hmm.
And then so they let him free in Whitestone, and he roams the woods of Whitestone, and then they put Trinket in there.
Trinket, I choose you.
Exactly. So Trinket is now officially a Pokemon.
Trinket use Roar. It's super effective.
The way that they change it up a little bit makes sense, and it also does speed up the telling of the story and making these connections and being like, hey, we only got 12 episodes to do this, so go, tell this story.
Yes.
So I think they're making good choices on how to switch things up. In episode 5, which one was that? I keep on forgetting.
That's Keyleth's episode.
That's Keyleth's episode.
Because they have to close the portal to the...
Yes.
To the
there
fire
were
plane.
some fights that I wanted to see. It wasn't just like these fire dragons that were coming out of the portal. There was actually like fire jinn that were coming out, and it was a big battle. That
sounds bad, like bad news. Jinns are no joke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And fire elementals coming out, and there was this really big battle in front of the portal, and they had to close it. But I liked how they changed it. They leveled up Keyleth. Fire drakes. They had more than just those guys. They had so much more happening, but once again, you've got to tell your story. You have to tell Keyleth that she's passing her Aramente, and she is, in a sense, leveling up. Yeah. So I think they do a really good job on speeding that forward and telling exposition about Thordak and being able to have Kima and Allura there and show their relationship with a quick little kiss. Yeah. And I'm like, awesome. I'm glad they told that.
And I think for those who have kept up with all 3 of the live playthrough campaigns, episode 5 was really fun to watch because they also mentioned Keyleth's mom. So like that was a huge thing because I try to keep it pretty vague in like our reaction, but I was like the VO community. So if you know, if you know, you know. So that's really cool. Plus, they're greenlit for the Mighty 9 campaign. So there's just like so much more of that world. It's all interconnected, and it's the Critical Role universe, the CRU, like that. It's just really cool to see. We're jumping around because we're running out of time here, but moving to episode 6, we get obviously all the cool stuff with the Sphinx and
which they changed completely.
They
changed the Sphinx so much.
Talk about that.
To where before they got in there, they had to figure out the Sphinx's name. It was a puzzle that they had to do. In the campaign, the Sphinx doesn't die, and the dragon doesn't jump them. And I don't think
Ripley had nothing to do with that one.
No. Ripley doesn't come along until much, much later. But I think what they want to do is connect Ripley to these stories a lot faster.
Yeah.
They want her in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's Thordak, and I'm trying to remember the dragon's name. I forgot the dragon's name, but then I remembered it, then I forgot it again. It's a really cool name though. Umbrasyl.
The acid dragon?
Yeah, the acid dragon. Umbrasyl was never attacked the Sphinx.
And
that's a completely new change.
So that's a departure from the campaign.
Huge departure.
Yeah. A couple other departures from there. This one comes from Chopped Broccoli, who says, I still wish Zara at least showed more emotion as seeing Vex's corpse. A lot of fandom canon is that they dated a long while ago. It was sad to see she didn't care. See, that's kind of cool to hear things like that from critters who have watched the campaigns and are like emotionally invested in it versus someone who is watching with either a fresh pair of eyes, like someone who doesn't know Critical Role at all, or just not aware of like these little details from campaign 1 because the way they set it up. So they like establish, Zara and Vex know each other, but not in the way that they knew each other in the live play campaign, which is what, and kind of Zara is like, oh, well, okay. Like she kind of not like she didn't care, but she was not.
There's a little bit more animosity.
Yeah, she didn't like Vex, and so it's quite different. And that Cash obviously cared a lot more. And you can tell if you watch back even just the little clip that I put in our reaction in episode 3, where actually I don't think that I put that part in, I actually cut it out. But because I was just in case spoilers. But Zara in the live play, our show, the live stream, was like, I run over immediately and I put a potion in her mouth.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, oh, and even Dustin, when he was watching that part with me of the live play, he's like, oh, he goes, yeah, in the live stream, Zach, Cash and Zara were a lot more friendly towards Vox Machina than they are in the animated show. So that's quite different, but I think at the end of the day, it still really does move the story forward.
Yeah.
So like I personally don't mind it because I don't know any other difference. I don't know if it affected like your watching experience.
No, because at the time I was sitting there going, this is different. I don't remember any of this. Am I forgetting that this happened? Or did they completely change it? Had to go back and be like, okay, no, they completely changed it. However, I loved how they changed it, that it was Scanlan got an awesome moment being able to play that love song.
So great.
And I'm just like, okay, that's a real fun way to do it.
The award-winning Sam Riegel. Emmy award-winning
Sam Riegel.
Dude, those Emmys are huge. I didn't realize how big they were until a friend of mine, he has a couple displayed in his office, and I don't remember ever seeing one up close, even though I think I've seen other ones before, but like the first time, because I was like this close to the case, and I was like, oh, those are huge. Anyways, episode 6, Grog talks to his sword some more. We get the little bathroom outhouse sing and the song.
We got a poop song from Scanlan.
Naturally, because
that was actually episode 5. Because episode 6,
yes, they were setting
Grog
it up.
loses his mind after going after Umbersill because of the sword and accidentally stabs Pike.
Yeah, so I asked Dustin immediately, this happens in the campaign?
And I'm like, not exactly.
So I can't wait to see what they're going to show us in episode 7, which is coming out this Friday. God, we're so behind. I don't even think I'm gonna get all 3 episodes up by then, but I'm sure gonna try. I can certainly try.
We can certainly
try. Which
they
put in the show. Keelan said, I can certainly try, and I laughed out loud so hard. What takes long with the editing is like when I see certain moments, I want to go back and like take some of those examples from like the live stream and add them, and it just takes a while because you want to find the perfect one, and then you have to like edit it in, and the time searching for it, I think is what loses me the most time. But like I get really positive comments when people are like, oh, I'm glad you included this, like the 19 misses part. Like it took me forever to find like the right one, but I found it. So that's why also the reaction takes long to edit. In any case, this show just keeps getting better and better, and I am so happy richer. We're getting this, and we're getting two more seasons. Well, we're getting this season and then next season, and I don't know if season 3 is going to be where they wrap up the Legend of Vox Machina. Like if that's enough time, another 12 episodes will give enough time to finish telling the story, or they're just like, we know season 4 is coming for the Vecna stuff. So I am not sure, but I'm sure we will get more announcements because they signed an overall deal with Amazon Studios. So there's going to be a lot more good stuff coming. So we, as fans, new or old, of Critical Role, you got a lot of good stuff coming.
So much more good stuff coming out for everything Critical Role related. And we know, and this is only the beginning. We've only heard that they're doing the Mighty Nine. We still don't know how many episodes of Legend of Vox Machina we're going to get. We still don't know when we're going to get Bell's Hells. And we still don't know whether or not, and more about the live action movie.
Is there going to be a live action movie?
I thought they mentioned a live action movie in the...
Did they?
Maybe.
They said first look film deal. I don't know about a live action movie. I mean, I wouldn't mind it. Not even in the least, but we will see. And I imagine they would have the time to finish it. Like Amazon they just invested so much money. So, anyways, happy for Vox Machina, for the cast and crew, and for us as fans, because we're going to get so much more. And that is going to be the end of our live stream for today. So, yeah, we went an hour and a half, which is what I was expecting, because we had not been able to chat with you guys. Yeah,
we're really behind on a lot of spoiler talks.
Yes. So with that, I'm going to go and stretch out my hips, walk Navi do laundry, and I'm gonna hop right back in the chair and finish editing one more movie review, and then I will move back on to The Last of Us, and Dustin will finish up.
And I'll continue tackling The Legend of Vox Machina.
Yeah. All right, guys. We love you so much. Thanks for hanging out. Before you leave, kindly give us a thumbs up if you haven't already. Really helps us out here on YouTube, get more visibility, and it helps that algorithm
to let people know you're interested. Please hit that subscribe button. It helps us out even a lot more.
Yeah, subscribe to the channel. Do all the things. We should be able to come back on. No, we're not. No live stream this Saturday because we are going to be playing our D&D one shot, and we'll be preparing for that. So again, that's not a live streamed game. It's just a private game between me, Dustin, our friends, and the fine folks over at Previewed. Just a fun one-shot thing that we wanted to do.
It's my Christmas present.
Yeah, it's his Christmas present. So
Wendy knows me so well.
Yay! I will be playing a rogue. She's going to be super fun. She has no charisma. I think she's at like an 8 or a 10, pretty low. Plus 0 for charisma, plus 0 for strength. But Dex is like plus 3. So, all right, we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys take care, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.